Six Sides of Steel. It was TNA Lockdown 2006, but unfortunately, if you paid for this, you got locked into a show with only half of it actually being advertised. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Wrestling. It's time for your TNA Lockdown 2006 review. Now, was it a bad show? No. Did the promoted matches, did the matches that receive build-up throughout the weeks leading to lockdown, did they deliver? Did they pay off? I would say yes, especially the main event. However, I think the negative part, and let's just get it over with straight away, about this show is basically the first hour and probably 20 minutes of this show felt like a pre-show. It was all matches that were unannounced. Matches that had no build. There was an arm wrestling match that had a build but still wasn't even announced in the lead up to this, and it's like, it almost feels like TNA, they don't have enough time to build towards a 3-hour pay-per-view, but they know that maybe not enough people would pay for a 90-minute pay-per-view or a 2-hour pay-per-view, so they give you a 3-hour pay-per-view anyway, but don't give you pay-per-view quality for the full 3 hours. It's like, yeah, the pre-show is going to last for like over an hour, and then after that you'll get the show begins. I mean, we're about an hour 20 until we get our first televised promoted match of the night.
I think there's two shows you don't do this on. It's Bound for Glory and it's Lockdown, especially considering the fact that every match is in a cage.
Yeah, that's supposed to mean something. This is supposed to be a match where you really put the rivalries, to the test. You put them in the middle of the ring, surrounded by the six sides of steel. But we had, like, in the opening hour and 20, we had a bunch of matches that just were throwaway matches that just should not be happening inside a steel cage.
No, absolutely not.
So for me, that's a big negative.
And it feels very indie. WWE, when they did Hell in a Cell, right? And they put every match in a Hell in a Cell, they would not have whipped out Yoshitatsu against Evan Bourne to kick off the show inside Hell in a Cell. They just don't do that.
No.
And TNA did do it. And I get it, Hell in a Cell is a wee bit more prestigious than a generic steel cage match, but it's a bad look. It's like, as good as you say, as good as like the main events were, and even the match before the main event I enjoyed, it's like, it's already limited. I mean, when like the first 40% of the show is lackluster, and it almost feels non-canon.
For me, what they should have done was, see if they want to do this filler crap and they don't have enough matches to fill out the free, then don't bring the cage down till the promoted matches actually begin. But then again, how can you promote the pay-per-view that every match happens inside a steel if only half of them happen inside it,
No, I know, I totally agree.
So you're screwed if you do and you're screwed if you don't. But anyway, let's get into it. Opening match, 6-man tag. It was Team Japan, Minoru Tanaka, Hiroki Goto, and Black Tiger taking on Team USA, Sonjay Dutt, Alex Shelley, and Jay Lethal. Not quite sure if Sonjay Dutt qualifies for Team USA, but he was in there anyway. And again, this was just a match that was thrown together, started off the night with no idea this was happening. These guys for Japan have not been on TNA, but they got thrown on to Lockdown the night. And I mean, not even... Do they deserve to be on Lockdown? Do people paying for Lockdown deserve these matches? I just don't get it, man.
No, I don't get it. And you watch, the timing's off with these guys. I thought that especially every pre-show match, they were doing spots where they were just waiting for the guy to jump for the top.
Oh, you said, hold on, you said every pre-show. This is legit. This is the real show.
Yeah, I know, but like we said,
the pre-show quality.
We're dividing it into two, really. But the pre-show quality matches, we're full of guys that just don't belong anywhere near a fucking pay-per-view. That's the reality. Team Japan, right? Literal jobbers.
Yep, couldn't name a guy, and I'm pretty sure Dave Meltzer could name them all, and their cats and their parents and all that stuff, but I didn't know any of them. Black Tiger hits Jay Lethal with a Tiger suplex, picks up the win. I mean, look, I'm not saying it was horrible, but maybe if I actually knew who they were, I'd have a bit more interest.
Yeah, and like, we know what the end game is. It's a Diddy tournament.
But it was your wee small guys working a X Division style match. Is what it is. Didn't really care for it. We then got an interview. Jeremy Borash and Team 3D. Brother Ray says tonight was about pride and respect. And then he also mentioned that company in Stanford there, called it a miserable company. They're taking a shot at WWE. I know that the Dudleys left, but I didn't think there was that much bad blood when the Dudleys left. But
he turned around and said, like, here, I would rather go back to Stamford, Connecticut than sing the Canadian national anthem or something like that. And it's like, why did the Dudleys have such bad blood with WWE? And also, I mentioned this when we watched it, it's like, they haven't won the NWA titles, but I feel like them burying every company that they've been in previously, minus ECW, it's like, I think it takes away from your prestige. The Dudley Boys at this point are known for the last couple of years in the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah, but it's not like they said it's a shit company, like, or it's a diddy small-time company. They just called it miserable.
Is it miserable though, or is it just sour fucking grapes?
Well, maybe they're taking a shot at management or something, or some people in it.
But I don't like this, right? We call it out when AEW does it. WWE never does this, man.
Yeah, no,
especially in this time period. There was Kurt Angle whipped out TNA in 2017, 18. It was like holy shit. See, in 2005, TNA wasn't worth the dog shit on Vince McMahon's show.
I mean, I guess it's like if you break up with your partner, then you get a new partner. But when you get with that partner, all you do is spend time complaining about how bad your old partner is. A bad look, isn't it? You should be moving on.
It is, and Christian did the same, months ago, and I'm sure there'll be numerous references to the past as well.
So it is what it is. Wasn't a bad wee promo for Team 3D. Then we had the 6 Sides of Steel with Sensei, aka Loki, taking on Daniels. Loki actually beats Daniels. Wasn't really expecting that, but he beat him. Feet on the ropes for leverage. Loki gets the win, but he's being called Sensei, and apparently that means there's a big difference. For me, this match bored me. I mean, at least I can say in the opening match, you had a bunch of bodies flying around. This one was just... I've never been a fan of Christopher Daniels, I haven't. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what you've got here is a guy that's considered like the most underrated wrestler of all time in higher par.
Yeah, but not for me. Arm wrestling contest up next. Bullet Bob Armstrong with the James Gang taking on Conan with LAX. And the stipulation was whoever lost had to get 10 lashes with the strap. And you know what? I thought this was pretty fun. This was the best thing in the first hour and a bit for sure. You had Road Dogg, or what you want to call him, Jesse James. He was spelling out the lashes in Spanish so that LAX could understand them. But Bullet Bob Armstrong won the arm wrestling. And then LAX got whipped like the Mexican dogs that they are.
Yeah, this was... Uno, dos, tres. Billy went on 3 instead of, you start whipping them. But it was funny, but it felt a bit weird. I don't know. There was
grown men getting whipped by a guy and his fucking...
Like, Conan's arse is up in the air and he's like... Odale, odale.
Road Dogg, assume the position.
Yeah, but it's like Homicide and Hernandez want nothing to do with it. And he's like, amigos, get in line. I don't know, it was funny. Like,
put your ass in the air.
Like, you just don't care. Odale.
I mean, it was a bit funny.
I'll tell you what, it's probably the best work Conan's ever did in the ring.
It was funny, but a bit gay as well. I don't know. Then we got Escape the Cage. Sabin, Skipper, Petey Williams, Shark Boy, Chase Stevens, and Puma. So, Petey eliminates Shark Boy, Canadian Destroyer. Chase Stevens did a big shooting star press off the top of the cage.
And he missed. He just, they actually did the worst thing possible. He completely missed them, but one of them, I can't remember who, caught one of his legs. So therefore, by catching one of his legs, they changed his trajectory for him to land face first.
Not a good landing.
And then he got up first after Tna was like, oh, they all moved out the road. And it's like, well, hold on, why is he pinning them all then?
Then some guy just pretty much pinned him straight away.
Yeah, I feel like in these matches, they take far too many risks.
Yeah, we got down to Sabin and Petey Williams. Sabin was climbing out of the cage. He got caught. Scott D'Amore caught him on the way down, so Scott D'Amore was holding on to Sabin. He wasn't letting him climb down. Petey Williams then climbed out. He caught up. He climbed on the side of the cage. And by the time Petey Williams caught up, Scott D'Amore walked off and allowed Petey Williams and Sabin to duel it out. Why didn't Scott D'Amore still continue to hold on to Sabin and get Petey Williams to drop down for an easy win?
Yeah, and then the fact when he lands on Scott D'Amore, went perfectly, and then he hits the deck, it just feels overbooked.
Right, so basically what happened was after they had a little punch off, Petey Williams dropped down. Scott D'Amore's trying to help him, but in the end, Petey Williams drops onto Scott D'Amore's shoulder, so he's got him, in the position that you'd carry your child in, and Petey Williams just stranded on top of D'Amore's shoulders, and then we get Sabin just dropping down to the floor, so Sabin wins.
I can't fault them for effort, but I feel like the execution is lacking.
No, I feel like the intelligence is lacking. I mean, it was working. Scott D'Amore's plan to hold Sabre against the cage was working. Why didn't Petey Williams just drop down and win the match?
Well, no, well that is the problem. Like, it makes no sense. Why not have Scott D'Amore get kicked, and then that forces Petey Williams to then grab him?
Yeah,
That's what smart people do. But
but see, Scott D'Amore just walked off.
I
It's
mean,
like
it's probably because these guys are a bit.
I've
They're
done
a
my
bit green.
I've done my job. I've allowed my boy to catch up. Now I'm going to walk off into the distance and let this 50-50 ending come to an end.
Yeah.
Bit strange. Saban wins. Then we get the X Division Championship match. Now you could argue this is where the show begins to begin, I guess, because it's Samoa Joe. It's the X Division title match. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was a surprise opponent. It was an unannounced opponent, so there was no build to this match either.
Yeah. Again, there was no build to this, but I think a return of Sabu's better than anything previously what we'd see. I mean, low key appearing. Oh, his name used to be so and so, but now his name is Senshi. Well, I'll tell you what, Sabu at this point must be what, 40 odds, early 40s or something.
I didn't think the match was that great. However, Sabu recently, I believe, broke his arm, so cut him a bit of slack.
I like to give my boys the benefit of the doubt, Clay. Tell you what, it's weird that he's going to go for like losing to Joe to straight into a feud with John Cena.
Yeah, hold on. I mean, Sabu, this must be a one-off appearance for TNA.
Aye.
Sabu must be about to join WWE right now. We're in April.
Listen, wait, Sabu never goes back to TNA, doesn't he? Not apart from when he's like he shaves his head, like Hardcore Justice EV 2.0.
I don't know. He might. I can't really recall. But when's he your one night stands? That in like June.
Yeah.
But the build up to that definitely starts in May.
Yeah, so he doesn't have long.
So Sabu's
We're well into April here.
Sabu's like a month away from appearing on Monday Night Raw.
Is this not the good stuff though? When like you didn't have to wait like 3 months for someone to appear.
Fuck it's
Sabu's jumping between the companies.
Anyway, good stuff. The match for me, I mean, it was alright. Can't expect it more, but Samoa Joe retained. It was alright. It was decent. We then got an interview with Jeremy Borash, Scott D'Amore, and Team Canada. We had Larry Sabisco coming in. He wanted to know, hey, what's happening, guys? What's happening? And then Scott D'Amore kind of just bashed Larry Sabisco, basically says, you don't care about us, so we don't care about you. Fuck you. A bit strange there. Don't know what Scott D'Amore was so pissed about.
Yeah, I don't really understand what this is all about. Like, I mean, but it is what it is at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, then we got the Anthem match. Team 3D, Ray, Devon, and Runt taking on Canada. Bobby Roode, Eric Young, and A1. We had Runt and Eric Young playing defensive positions where they were kind of just defending the flag. I mean, unique tactics, I guess. At the end of the match, though, Team 3D win. The referee's knocked down, so the Team Canada then put the flag back, so the referee does not know that America won, that Team 3D won. So then it looks like Team 3D are going to get screwed, and you're thinking at this point, holy fuck, they're not going to screw the Dudleys again, because this feud needs to come to an end. But thankfully, the Dudleys get up, they kick ass, and they once again retrieve their flag for a second time. This time the referee did see it, and the Dudleys win the flag match. The USA anthem plays in the arena, and the crowd sing along. I don't know if the crowd would sing along in 2024, because, I mean, I'd say the USA anthem in 2024 is probably deemed as more of a heel move in wrestling. People probably don't want to sing along to it.
That is the problem. It definitely is viewed more as a heel move, but yeah.
No, but see if you know nothing about politics, right? And a lot of people don't, but people talk about how much the country has got divided. I think even if you look at wrestling, like I think wrestling alone would say that, because look at wrestling back in the 2000s, whether it was going to Iraq or the attacks in like Manchester or whatever, London attacks, or even just some sort of feud that was an American guy against a guy from outside of America, the crowd were always behind the American.
Yeah.
Now, yes, to be fair, they don't really do any sort of nationality shit now because I think they're too afraid to. But if you just look at anything online when it comes to wrestling fan, there's like zero patriotism when it comes to wrestling fans on Twitter or Instagram. Yeah, you get the odd fans, and I think you get probably our subscribers. I think would be patriotic.
I think you look at America from the outside. I would say if you're patriotic, you have to be a Trump supporter. I would go as far as in 2024. I do not see how you can vote on the left. And I think that's what it's created. Well, I think in the past, you clearly look when you look at presidential debates, like they have respect for each other.
Yeah, I think regardless, see. Let's say there wasn't a debate. Let's say there was a presidential debate in 2006. See, regardless of who won, see if that president showed up on TNA Impact. There's 500 people in there, and he holds his hand on his heart and he starts singing, America the brave,
The beautiful.
the beautiful. See if he starts singing America the Beautiful. I think every single person is singing along with that president in 2006. But see now, see if Trump turned up at Impact Zone. I think about 90% are probably booing him.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it would be in Orlando, wouldn't it? So, I mean, maybe that would give him a...
Orlando, Florida. Anyway, wrestling's not patriotic anymore. Up next, out comes Christy Hemme. She's left the WWE. She is in TNA now. Mike Tenay and the other Dom West. Yeah, they're freaking out. Oh, do you know who that is? Could it be? It is. It's Christy Hemme. She comes out, gives Mike Tenay an envelope. Mike Tenay is reading the envelope. Larry Sabisco comes out. He's like, what the heck's this envelope? Tenay reveals that Sabisco's on probation. He's like, what? I haven't done anything wrong. And Tenay's like, well, if you hadn't done anything wrong, you wouldn't have anything to worry about. And then the second piece of news is that one of Larry Sabisco's big, his big decisions as TNA management was
Championship Committee.
Was to suspend someone, and that person is now unsuspended, and of course it's Raven. Raven comes out, Sabisco hides in the ring, security prevent Raven from getting in the cage, and then Raven kind of just walks off. Nice to see Raven back. Thought he'd have been a little more eager though to get his hands on Sabisco, but
he looks like a social justice warrior, man. He comes out with his blue hair. He does, doesn't he, Raven?
But he's not. I like Raven.
I like Raven.
I like
too.
Scott Levy. He's a good guy.
Quote the Raven nevermore. As he said recently, only two things he's ever been good at: wrestling and doing drugs. And dare I say, he might be better at doing drugs than wrestling. So
well, I think his wrestling days are definitely over. Are his drug days over?
Nah.
That we don't know, let's see. Up next, we've got an interview, Jeremy Borash and Christian Cage. Then we get Cage versus Abyss inside the cage match for the NWA title. Christian met Abyss on the ramp. We got a big brawl on the outside. Pretty good match. Christian hits a frog splash off the top of the cage for a 2 count. Big frog splash. Big. The lockdown cage looks big though, doesn't it? I think it looks bigger than a traditional WWE cage. I'm not saying there's much in it, but
it could be the six-sided effect, where it could give you the... But I would agree, I would say it is bigger. Tell you what though, thumbtacks, chains, steel chairs, everything in this match, man. I mean, it wasn't an insane amount of blood, but Abyss is seriously underrated.
Yeah, Abyss gets power bombed onto the thumbtacks, sunset flip off the top of the cage, and that was a really good move as well. He was slightly delayed on doing the flip, but we've seen people try to do this on big men and they've blown at their knees. I'm pretty sure Seth Rollins did it on Kane, so yeah, maybe it's a good job that Christian didn't take the full weight of Abyss coming off the top of the fucking steel cage.
Absolutely.
That would have maybe been disastrous, but hits the sunset flip off the steel cage onto the tacks. Abyss kicks out, Abyss's arms all busted. Abyss hits a black hole slam. Christian kicks out. Abyss gets more thumbtacks, but Christian manages to hit him with an unprettier. And Abyss goes face first onto the thumbtacks, while Christian manages to avoid the thumbtacks altogether. Thought it was a bit poor. I thought it would have looked much better had Christian landed in them. And despite he would have, I think it would have been a better visual if Christian just landed in them and got the pin anyway, and you seen the thumbtacks in Christian's back. But I guess he didn't want to. Maybe Christian's allergic to tacks or something. I mean,
maybe, but when this is your finisher, you have to take it.
I mean, could you imagine Mick Foley bottling it?
Could he not have wore padding on his arse if it meant that much to him?
Yeah, it was a bit strange, like. But then after the match, he gets attacked. Then Abyss gets a steel chain, and he hangs Christian with the chain. Just hangs him there. Christian's tongue's hanging out. Then James Mitchell gives Abyss the NWA World Heavyweight Belt, and they leave together.
And dare I say, this match lived up to the billing of a double main event.
It did, and that's what it was promoted as. Yeah. Alright, then we get Sting's Warriors backstage. They all cut their wee promos. R-Truth didn't really have much to say. AJ says that Sting could have picked anybody, but he picked us. He picked us jabronis, and we're gonna make it up to him. Then Rhino made sure that somebody was going to get the gore, and then Sting just stepped in and cut them all off and went, "It's showtime," and walked off.
Rhino marked it, man. He saw Steve Borden, he went, "That's fucking Sting."
That's Sting. Right, then we got the match. Sting's Warriors defeats Jarrett's Army. A really good match here. Psychology, I think, on display. We get the first 5 minutes. It was Styles teaming up, well, not teaming up, but taking on Chris Harris in the opening 5. We had this spot where Chris Harris, so Chris Harris and Styles, they battle in the middle of the ring. Styles hits a big Styles clash on Chris Harris. El Hebner counts the 3 count. I don't know why. Styles wasn't going for a pin. He was trying to reverse it into Styles clash, but Hebner counted for a senior official.
Senior official El Hebner dropping the ball here big time.
And pinfalls don't come into effect until after the cage is lowered. So.
I think Lethal Lockdown makes sense that it's not elimination because they wait for the weapons and that's where it becomes lethal. I think in War Games, I feel like War Games is just a big clusterfuck for the get-go.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of War Games.
I don't know. I think Lethal Lockdown's a better concept. I really think it is.
Yeah, James Storm then comes down to the ring and the cage door. He's opening the cage door. He goes to close the cage door. He's kind of like, I don't know, teasing AJ a little bit. So AJ runs and does a drop kick into the cage door. James Storm ducks underneath, but Gail Kim doesn't, and the steel cage just completely fucking wipes her out and hits her on the head. Pretty good spot there. I like that. Then it was a 2-on-1 beatdown. James Storm coming in, getting the better of AJ Styles. They bust him open. You've got Harris busted open, AJ busted open. Then in comes Rhino, and Rhino starts attacking them. It's 2-on-2 now. Rhino and AJ get the advantage, but then Jeff Jarrett comes out. Although Rhino, to be fair, did meet Jeff Jarrett on the ramp. He wasn't waiting until he got to the ring. He was trying to take out Jeff Jarrett first. Then they got in the ring, but it was 3-on-2. So the beatdown continues. Then R-Truth comes out, makes it 3-on-3. R-Truth hits some offense. Scott Steiner is then in the ring, and it's 4-on-3. We got a big avalanche suplex powerbomb 7-man combination off the top of the ropes.
AJ Styles sold the hell of it. I mean, the whole selling process in this match was magnificent.
Now, the move wasn't really clean because I think...
I don't think this move needs to be clean, though. I think it looking like a mess is good. Almost to a degree. You think so? I think if it's too clean, it needs to be rough around the edges for me.
I don't think you can generate enough... not gravity. I don't think you can generate enough... What's the word I'm looking for?
Put it this way. Velocity?
No.
I think the order they had it in... Maybe Steiner at the bottom. Because he's, you know, the world's largest arms. He could have just fucking powerbombed off 6 of them. But
yeah, we just seen a couple of legs buckling and AJ got a pretty nasty landing. I think AJ landed on top of Steiner. But then he sold it, and that left the door open for Sting. Sting comes out, it's 4-on-1, but Sting doesn't give a shit. Steiner came in, by the way, and hit a lot of offense as well, hitting the big suplexes, you know, power slams, pump handle slams, belly to belly, overhead, Germans. Steiner just a suplex machine, but in slow motion.
But you notice the way here, it's like, even in 2006 and TNA at this point, it's like, you're relying on the old guys, aren't you? You've got Jarrett, you've got Sting, you've got, obviously, Scott Steiner. I mean, even Rhino at this point, to me, I mean, the guy's been in, he's been in a lot of companies at this point, brother. But I would say everyone in this match held their own. Would you agree?
Aye, everyone did hold their own. Sting came in, then he had a 4-on-1 outnumbered attack going on, but he managed to fight back. The weapons came down, they got the weapons, so James Storm climbs to the top of the cage. There's like a gap, and he climbs to the very top. AJ follows him. You've got AJ and Storm battling on the top of the cage. There's so much shit going on.
It's hard to keep up. You've got Steiner in there with Sting and Jarrett, who are having a guitar off. Sting then trades it after destroying Jeff's guitar for a baseball bat. And then they set up the Styles spot, but as that's going on, Jeff Jarrett hits Sting with the guitar, and it's like the camera needed to focus on that.
Yeah, so I mean, Jeff Jarrett gets cracked over the head with a guitar, but they're more focused on what's happening on the top. I mean, that's fair enough because what's happening up top's crazy. So there's a table being put in place, there's a ladder getting set up. Gail Kim goes to the top. She tries to climb from the outside to go and help Storm, but then AJ like stands on her hands, so she's like dangling off the fucking top of the steel cage, and then Jackie Gaeta pulls down her skirt, and you just see she's there in her underwear, and Dom West turns into Jerry the King Lawler. He starts marking it.
This is some good shit.
Jackie Gaeta then runs to the back, and Gail Kim gives chase, so that evens up the odds. And then we see AJ hit a Pele kick on the top of the cage, and he puts Storm on the table. And I mean, you can see the structure here; it's kind of moving left to right. So I don't think this is safe.
I tell you what, this has to be one of like the highest spots in wrestling history. Now, obviously, he doesn't jump to the arena floor.
No, he doesn't. He climbs, but he puts him on the table. Then he sets up the ladder. Then he climbs to the ladder, and then he uses the ladder to climb on top of the scaffolding structure that is holding up the lockdown cage. And I mean, he is probably at this point legitimately about 40 feet, I would say, off the bottom.
I'd say easily. I'd say it's closer to 50. I mean, obviously Shane McMahon when he was jumping off Titantrons probably a bit higher because WWE arenas were bigger. But what happens next, I think, is one of the most iconic moments in TNA history. Hits the frogs, and I think the table breaks perfect.
Yeah, so
he like lands on him, and then he just like sulks over him, and they're both dead.
So he hits the splash off the scaffolding, and that takes him and James Storm. But that's the way it should be, man. See, after that spot rules those guys out. They don't need to be back in the match.
No, yeah,
that's them done.
But see, versus today, man, you feel like these two would be down.
They'd come back at the end, wouldn't they? Aye. Also, AJ Styles, when he climbed the ladder, there was no referee holding on to it or nothing like that.
Yeah,
I mean, see if that ladder tippled over. I mean,
one-way ticket to hell.
Yeah.
The ladder community.
But then we get the battling continuing in the ring. Chris Harris tries to put Sting in the sharpshooter, the Scorpion Deathlock, and he does. But I'm not sure why he done that, because it was a fucking bad idea. Sting then counters it, and he locks in the Scorpion Deathlock on Chris Harris. Jarrett can't make the save. Steiner can't make the save. James Storm stranded on top of the cage. He's taken out by Styles. He can't make the save. And Harris is forced to tap. And I guess it makes maybe sense that Harris tapped, considering he started the match and he must have been probably the most fucked out of every guy there.
Yeah, I mean, a great ending, great spots, great match. Is it the best Lethal Lockdown? I'd say it's up there. I think they do a lot of these. I think they are hard to create different ones. I think in Royal Rumbles you can kind of do different ones in there, different spots, whatever. But I think this is everything you want a Lethal Lockdown to be. Everyone getting their spots. The insane one on the roof. Sting winning, which I think is the correct decision. And the guy, like you said, who went through the most in the match, suffering the L. But for me, I thought Lockdown was great. But it's the first 80 minutes of the show.
Yeah, look, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, and it's because the first hour and a bit the first hour and a bit was pre-show quality at best. It was a bunch of matches that either were not advertised and just thrown together, or unadvertised, thrown together by a bunch of guys we don't know.
Yeah, I honestly think the two main events, if I was to rate it, I'd give it like a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
for that section of the show.
Two main events were great. I enjoyed the arm wrestling. I enjoyed the Team Canada, Team USA thing. Samoa Joe thing was all right, and I thought the interviews throughout the night were pretty good as well.
No, absolutely.
And I missed that because nowadays when do you get interviews?
Yeah, and you actually had like story with Sabitsko.
Look at TNA, man. You've got interviews between every matches to break up the matches. What do you have now?
Nada.
You have nothing. No, you get a match, then you get like a 10 minutes of advertisements, then about 15 minutes of two entrances.
No, it's tragic.
Rather than break up the matches with actual funny vignettes or backstage promos, all we get's advertisements now and fucking boring 10-minute entrances, man. It's pish. Anyway, I'm getting at a 7. You're getting at a
7. Again, I just wish the rest of the show could have been like the final half of it, but it can't be, sadly. But it can be, but they don't do it.
No, but think of WrestleMania 17, right? I'd give that a 10. But see if the first hour and 20 minutes of that was matches that were like not promoted, matches that had no rivalries, matches that were not advertised, and you didn't know who half of them were. No, imagine WrestleMania 17, right? And half the matches are guys from Japan that you don't know. The first hour and a half are Japanese guys versus Mexican guys.
No, I know,
and
it
you
would suck. It would.
You couldn't give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, no, you couldn't.
So, I mean, yeah, TNA kind of let itself down here. I'm hoping that soon we'll get TNA pay-per-views that are, structured properly from the beginning. I still think they're a little bit hampered because a combination of the 1 hour impacts and still not having the best roster that we know they get. But I think that we're maybe, put it this way, I think by the end of 2007, I don't think TNA will have these problems.
No, you add in the likes of, Kurt Angle alone, right? You've got Booker T, Nash is back. There's just so much happening in TNA at this point.
Yeah, anyway guys, that's it. We'll catch you in the next one. Fog Wrestling, 7 out of 10. Let us know your rating. Till then though, peace.